A channeling for Litha of 2026 on today's Oblyron Divination. Greetings everyone, I am Oblyron, Lord of the Underworld and consort to the most lovely Hecate. Thank you for joining me on today's episode where I will be channeling my higher self for Litha of 2026. Now this is a channeled message and I have no idea what's going to come across, so we shall see. I will first light some incense and then we will begin the channel. Okay, well it seems to be lit pretty well now. Alright, so I use a besom to help induce a trance-like state, and let's see what comes up. Esoteric, Oblyron, Esoteric, Oblyron. Greetings everyone, I am Oblyron. Guardian of Time's End and Keeper of the Chant of Rebirth. Litha is a time when we are at the energetic maximum. It's the longest day of the year. It is when all is revealed. All is in the sunlight. It is a time of summer. It is a time of the longest day of the year and a time when we receive the most illumination, the most radiance. It is a time when our outer selves, the persona that we project to the world, is in full swing. It's generally a time of action and activity. A time of doing, a time of revelation too. A time when we step into the light. And this year, for many of us, that time is not quite what we expected this year. That time that we have spent this year, the year of the fire horse, it seems to have thrown some of us for a bunch of curveballs. Things that we thought were going to happen didn't quite manifest the way that they did. Things that probably caught us by complete surprise. And we may ask ourselves and feel confused and be telling ourselves, well, why did this happen? Why are things unfolding in ways which I have not anticipated? And that's really the point of it all. You see, the universe is on its own time. The universe does what the universe has to do. And we as mortals, we just are kind of along for the ride. We may expect the fire horse to be great action, a time of when we really take life by the reins and go into this powerful manifestation mode. But sometimes what manifests is what we need, not necessarily what we want. Sometimes what we manifest is really a combination of what our subconscious mind wants too, in addition to our conscious mind. In fact, many would argue that it's really the subconscious mind that is the main manifester. Because it's really when we become right and square with our subconscious mind, or the underworld of our souls, that we really begin to reconcile with how we exist on a conscious level. So it is okay that things have not unfolded quite the way that we wanted to. It is okay that life throws us those curveballs. Because if we got everything we wanted when we wanted, well, what's the fun in that? And it's not really to be said in a condescending or teasing term. It's just, imagine life with no problems or no worries, no troubles. Well, how do we grow from that? How do we grow when all we want is a period of stasis? Or how can we grow when things come a little bit too easy for us? So many times we get upset at the universe. We get upset. Why aren't things unfolding on the timeline in which the way that I want? Why aren't I having my moment in the sun? It's a nice little Litha reference there. And that's the point. Just as the tide doesn't control exactly where the waves break, so too do we not always control the flow of where we are going. We can estimate, we can plan, we can do everything that we humanly can to be able to steer the fates in our favor. But again, sometimes the universe has a different plan. Sometimes we need to go backwards to go forwards, or sometimes maybe even sidewards to go backwards, or sidewards to go forwards. It reminds me a lot of how a photon of light, when it's birthed at the center of a star, it can take many years, millions of years, to be able to escape the sun. And that photon, even though it travels in a random pattern, it slowly makes progress. And there's actually a mathematical equation to that. Because if you were to view travel in 360 degrees. Well, the only way to truly go backwards is really to go back from where you came. And that is only a 1 in 360, 1/360th probability of going back the way you came. Because there are 359 other degrees in the circle. So even if we feel like we're moving at a random pace, we are still making progress. Because again, it's only a 1 in 360 chance that we will go directly back from where we came. And since there is only a 1 in 360 chance to go directly back from where we came, well, again, even when it seems like things are totally random, we actually do make progress. Because that randomness over time is progress. Now that's with the photon of light coming from the center of the sun. So when we plot our lives, we're giving ourselves way more than a 300, or I should say a 1 in 360 chance of going backwards. The more we prep, the more we plan, the more we have, the greater odds to go forward in the direction that we want to go. Now, it may not always be the exact direction we want to go, but our ingenuity and our minds help us to be able to make that forward progress. So don't get discouraged. If some of us are feeling lost, if some of us are feeling spiritually in a quagmire, if some of us feel like maybe we may be losing faith, or maybe we might be questioning our own beliefs, it is okay. Because chances are we're making far more progress than we may realize. Now, as the days start to get shorter, we will go from a time of action to more of a time of reflection. And as we start to go into a deeper time of reflection, we will truly begin to realize the fruits of our labor. Litha is kind of like when you're on a roller coaster and you're going up that first climb, and then you're going over the top, about to drop down. That's what Litha is. We are at energetic maximum. We are at a point in which all this potential from the year is built up. And now, it is time to just let it unfold. So again, never be discouraged. Even when you're going backwards, you are probably going far more forward than you think. And even though things may not exist on the timeline that you want, or even happen at the times in which we want, well, there's probably a reason for that. There may be something more that we have to learn. There may be more lessons. There might be there might be something that diverts us, because had we gone down the path that we wanted to, it could have been worse for us. Remember, our waking hours are just the tip of the iceberg of who we truly are. Our conscious mind and what we want on a conscious level is just the tip of the iceberg. For us to truly make forward progress, all parts of the iceberg must be reconciled with, including the depths with which we cannot see, or with which we cannot fully comprehend or understand. All these things down to the roots of who we are must be in alignment. So don't give up hope. Don't lose patience. That is part of the ebb and flow of life. All right. So, that was an interesting channel. A lot of times I go a little bit deeper in the state of trance. This one I was in sort of a semi-trance, semi-conscious state. Perhaps because it's that time of year. You know, there's just so much solar energy. It's hard to really dive into that deep meditative state, that deep subconscious state. But that's all right, because I think the message was still relevant to this time of year. So if you resonate with today's message, then feel free to leave a like, subscribe, or comment, and let us know how you've resonated with today's message. Thanks for joining us on this channeling, and love and light and wisdom and shadow, and may Hecate illuminate your path at the crossroads.